The steel corridors of Station Epsilon 7 echoed with the screech of claws against metal and the terrified shouts of security personnel. 3 dragon cubs, no larger than wolves, huddled in the corner of the detention bay, their iridescent scales reflecting the harsh white lights. The eldest, Syrinx, stood at the front, her copper-gold wings spread wide despite their juvenile size, her throat glowing with barely contained fire. "Stand down!" barked Commander Vector, his forearms gesturing at the armed guards behind him. The Xanthari officer's exoskeleton clicked with agitation. "These creatures are confiscated property. They will be relocated to the Xenobiology Research Division immediately," Syrinx snarled, a sound that was part growl, part kettle whistle. Behind her, her 2 siblings, one midnight blue, one silver white, pressed against each other, their eyes wide with terror. When 2 guards stepped forward with containment poles, Syrinx's throat blazed brighter. A jet of flame erupted from her mouth, forcing the guards to leap back. The fire wasn't much, barely enough to scorch the floor plating, but the message was clear. The cubs would not go quietly. "Authorization granted for sedation darts," Vector said coldly, raising his datapad. "Non-lethal suppression protocols." "That won't be necessary, Commander." The voice cut through the chaos like a blade through silk, calm, measured, unmistakably human. Every head turned toward the corridor entrance where Captain Mara Thane stood, her dark uniform crisp despite the late hour, her gray eyes taking in the scene with the practiced assessment of someone who'd seen worse. "Captain Thane." Vector's mandibles clicked with irritation. "This is a security matter. These specimens were smuggled aboard without proper documentation. They are dangerous." "They're children," Mara corrected, walking forward with deliberate slowness. She didn't look at the commander. Her eyes were locked on Syrinx, who watched her approach with wary intelligence. Terrified children who've been ripped away from everything they know. They are assets to be processed according to station regulations. They are sentient beings under the protection of the Interspecies Accord. Article 7, Section 3, Mara interrupted, her voice still soft but carrying the weight of absolute certainty, which states that juvenile members of any recognized intelligent species cannot be detained without a legal guardian present. "Where is their guardian, Commander?" Vector's exoskeleton rattled. "They were found in an abandoned cargo pod. No guardian registered. Then they require temporary custody assignment, not sedation and experimentation." Mara was close now, just 3 meters from the cubs. Syrinx's flames had died down, but her stance remained defensive. "I'm invoking emergency custodial rights as senior human officer on this station. You have no authority. I have every authority. Check Interspecies Legal Code 447B. Human emotional regulation protocols have been proven effective with 73% of known species, including Draconis variants." Mara finally looked at Vector, and something in her expression made the commander step back. "Now stand your people down, or I'll file a formal complaint with the Galactic Council for endangering protected juveniles." For a long moment, silence hung heavy. Then Vector's arms lowered. 5 minutes, Captain. Then they go to processing regardless." Mara didn't acknowledge him. She turned back to the cubs and slowly, deliberately lowered herself to one knee, making herself smaller, less threatening. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Hey there, little ones. I know you're scared." Syrinx's head tilted slightly, her reptilian eyes, amber with flecks of gold, studying this strange creature who spoke without shouting, who moved without aggression. "I know everything feels wrong right now," Mara continued, keeping her hands visible and still. "You don't know where you are. You don't know these people, and you don't know if anyone's coming to help you." She paused, and something ancient and knowing passed through her expression. "But I'm here now, and I promise you no one is going to hurt you while I'm standing." The blue cub peeked out from behind Syrinx, chirping softly. Mara's lips curved into the gentlest smile. "That's right. I see you too, brave one." She reached slowly into her pocket. 3 guards tensed, but she ignored them, and pulled out a protein bar. She unwrapped it carefully and broke off a piece, extending it toward the cubs. "It's not much, but you must be hungry." Syrinx sniffed the air, her nostrils flaring. For several heartbeats, no one moved. Then, with cautious steps, she approached, her claws clicking softly against the floor. She sniffed the offered food, glanced up at Mara's face, then gently took the piece with surprising delicacy. The moment she did, her siblings followed, pressing against Mara's legs with the desperate affection of children who'd found safety after endless fear. The silver cub made a sound like purring, while the blue one rubbed its head against her knee. Mara's hand moved slowly, gently to rest on Cyrix's head, her fingers careful around the small horns beginning to emerge. "There we go," she murmured. "See? Not so scary after all." "Impossible," breathed one of the guards, a young Kelthir whose scales had gone pale with shock. "Dragons don't bond with anyone except their own kind. The research is clear." "Your research," Mara said quietly, still focused on the cubs, "didn't account for one variable." "What variable?" Victor demanded. Mara looked up, and in her eyes was something that made even the battle-hardened commander uncomfortable. A warmth that had nothing to do with physical heat. A fierceness that had nothing to do with violence. Humans don't see assets or specimens or research subjects. We see people. We see fear that needs comforting, pain that needs easing, and children, regardless of what they look like, who need someone to stand between them and a universe that's forgotten how to be kind. She stood, and the three cubs stayed close, Cyrix's tail wrapping protectively around her ankle. "Now, Commander, I'm taking these three to appropriate temporary housing in the civilian sector. You'll have my formal custody application on your desk within the hour. Any objections can go through the proper legal channels." Vector stared at her, at the cubs who'd been snarling and shooting fire just minutes ago now peacefully clustered around this human's legs, like she was the only safe thing in the universe. "Humans," he muttered finally, stepping aside. "You're all insane." Mara smiled as she guided the cubs past him. "No, Commander. We just remember what it's like to be small and scared and alone, and we decided a long time ago that no one else should have to feel that way if we can help it." As Captain Mara Thane walked down the corridor with three dragon cubs at her heels, every being they passed stepped aside, watching with expressions ranging from confusion to awe, and Cyrix, who'd been ready to burn the world to protect her siblings, kept her eyes fixed on the human who'd done something no amount of force ever could. She'd simply cared. That, more than any weapon or technology, was humanity's true strength, and the galaxy was still learning to understand it.